What keeps you from doing something selfish when nobody is watching? A camera? A law? Or the strange feeling that someone might remember? Now imagine a world with no police, no courts, no written rules, no contracts, and no locked doors between you and anyone else. For a long time, we pictured ancient humans as wild cavemen, shouting, fighting, grabbing food, and somehow living in complete chaos. But that picture may be one of the biggest misunderstandings about prehistory, because chaos is terrible at keeping small groups alive. A prehistoric tribe did not need marble courthouses. It had something older, smaller, and sometimes more powerful. Everyone knew everyone. If you stole food, refused to help, or endangered the fire, you were not anonymous. Your face stayed inside every memory. In a city, you can disappear into crowds. In a small Ice Age camp, one selfish act could follow you for years. So, before civilization wrote laws on tablets, rules may have lived in eyes, whispers, shared meals, and fear of being pushed away. Here the old myth begins to break. Ancient humans were not lawless because they lacked writing. They were social because survival demanded it. Think of the campfire as the first courtroom. Not formal, not fair by modern standards, but impossible to ignore when everyone sat nearby. A child watched who shared meat. An elder remembered who lied. A hunter noticed who vanished when work became dangerous. No one needed a legal document to know certain things were forbidden. Do not waste food, abandon children, or let the fire die. These were not polite suggestions. They were survival rules, because one broken rule could mean hunger, cold, injury, or death. And the strangest part is this. Many of those ancient pressures may still live inside our modern social fears today. To understand why shame hurts, reputation matters, and exclusion feels terrifying, we must return to the first rule-making circle. Picture a small tribe at dusk. The wind is cold, the sky is fading, and one fire becomes the center of everything human. Around it sit hunters, gatherers, children, elders, toolmakers, and tired hands that carried food, wood, skins, and stories all day. There is no written law here, but there is memory, and in a world this small, memory can be stronger than stone. Everyone knows who gathered firewood when the snow came. Everyone knows who shared berries with a child instead of hiding them. Food sharing was not just kindness. When hunting failed tomorrow, the person you fed today might be the reason you survived. This made generosity practical, not magical, not perfect, but practical. A group that shared risk could endure bad luck better than one selfish body. In hunter-gatherer groups studied today, sharing, reputation, teasing, and pressure often matter deeply. Exact comparisons with prehistory still need careful verification, but the pattern makes sense. When no supermarket exists, one successful hunt is too large for one stomach and too uncertain for one family. So the meat becomes more than meat. It becomes trust, debt, memory, and a silent message. I am part of this group. Now imagine someone always taking, never giving, always eating first, always disappearing when the difficult work begins. People would notice. There might be no judge, but there would be glances. No prison, but there could be distance around the fire. A rule did not need to be written to become real. It only needed consequences strong enough for everyone to feel. The first punishment may not have been dramatic. It may have been smaller. Fewer smiles, fewer invitations, less trust during dangerous moments. And in a dangerous landscape, less trust was not a small thing. It could mean walking alone, eating last, or sleeping near the edge. That edge matters, because outside the warmth of the group, the night was not symbolic. It was cold, hungry, and alive. Today, one embarrassing moment can replay in your mind for years. Prehistory may explain why the brain treats shame like danger, not just discomfort. For ancient humans, shame was not only discomfort. It warned that your place in the group might be getting weaker, colder, and less protected. If the group doubted you, you could lose protection, food, information, mates, help during injury, and the safety of sleeping near others. That is why reputation became a kind of invisible currency long before coins, banks, signatures, or official records existed anywhere. A good reputation meant people trusted your words, shared with you, followed your warnings, and believed you when danger appeared. A bad reputation meant every mistake became heavier. Even silence could accuse you when the camp remembered what happened before. Some researchers argue small-scale societies can control arrogance or selfishness through ridicule, gossip, avoidance, and collective pressure. Specific cases still need verification. In simple terms, the group could shrink a person without touching them. A joke, a stare, or a whisper could change status. This might sound gentle compared with modern law, but in a small tribe, social pain could become survival pain very quickly. Imagine being the person nobody trusts to guard the fire, watch the children, share tools, or walk behind them in darkness. You are still alive, but the circle has moved away, and every inch of distance becomes colder when night arrives. This is why ancient rules could be powerful without being carved anywhere. They lived inside relationships, and relationships carried real consequences. But these rules were not only about punishment. They also taught children how to belong before they understood abstract morality. A child saw which hand gave food away, which voice calmed arguments, and which person everyone avoided when stories became quiet. Long before schoolrooms, children learned society by watching the fire circle, who sat close, who spoke, who listened, and who was ignored. The popular myth says survival belongs to the strongest individual, but prehistory may have rewarded something quieter, less dramatic, and far more reliable: cooperation. A powerful person alone could win one fight, maybe one meal, but a coordinated group could survive winter, injury, predators, hunger, and fear. This is the part movies often miss. Ancient life was not a constant battle scene, it was a long test of dependence. Someone knew where roots grew after rain. Someone remembered animal trails. Someone repaired tools. Someone carried a child when the group moved. No single body could hold all that knowledge forever. Rules helped protect the network that made the group smarter than any one person. So, a rule against stealing protected trust. A rule against laziness protected labor. A rule against cruelty protected children, elders, and the future. Even leadership may have looked different before kings. People might follow the best tracker, careful healer, patient teacher, or calmest voice. Power based only on fear can break a small group. Prestige based on usefulness can hold it together when the landscape becomes dangerous. That does not mean ancient groups were peaceful utopias. Conflict existed. Jealousy existed. Violence could happen. Human beings were still human, but total chaos would be a terrible strategy. A group that destroyed its own trust would enter winter already half defeated. Rules were the invisible shelter, not made of wood or bone, but strong enough to keep cooperation from collapsing under stress. When food was scarce, rules decided who ate first, who waited, who shared, and who would be remembered when luck returned. When danger approached, rules decided who warned others, who ran too soon, and who stood close enough to be trusted. When someone was injured, rules decided whether the group carried them, fed them, abandoned them, or remembered their value beyond strength. In that sense, civilization did not invent order from nothing. It may have enlarged something ancient already burning around the fire. Now return to the modern world. We have passwords, police, laws, cameras, receipts, contracts, schools, offices, online records, and crowded streets everywhere. Yet somehow, a single look from a group can still make your stomach drop, as if safety itself has suddenly changed. A bad comment, a public mistake, being left out of a chat, or losing reputation can feel strangely larger than the moment. Maybe that is because the brain is old. It remembers when being disliked could mean losing warmth, food, protection, and belonging. Social media did not create reputation. It amplified a prehistoric system, until the fire circle became global, glowing, endless, and impossible to leave. Every like, silence, rumor, and public mistake touches something ancient. The question, am I still safe inside the group? This does not mean every modern fear is useful. It means some fears began as tools before the world changed around them. The tribe needed shame to warn against selfishness. It needed gossip to track trust. It needed rules before anyone could write them down. But modern life stretches those ancient signals across millions of strangers, where the brain still reacts as if the camp is watching. That is the twist. The first laws may not have been written by kings, but practiced by hungry people trying to stay together. Before civilization, there were no courtrooms, but there were circles, no judges, but elders, no contracts, but remembered promises, no police, but consequences, no stone tablets, but stories, no official law, but the quiet knowledge that the group must not break. So, ancient humans were not simple, lawless creatures. They were rule-making animals long before they became city-building animals. Perhaps civilization began not when humans learned to command each other, but when they learned to stay close without destroying the fire. Imagine the final scene. A small tribe in darkness, no written law anywhere, only warm light, shared food, watching eyes, and belonging.